We are now going to focus on how to get ready to teach Lesson 1. This first lesson, you may need to have a few minutes of extra time budgeted to give the students general classroom expectations about paying attention, bathroom breaks, etc. Also, it may take a bit more time to move between activities and get the volunteers and students used to working with one another and with the materials. During the first part of this lesson, you need to give reading grade level tests to any student who has not had one yet. Allow the other students to color in their one-page vowel and consonant chart while finishing up any grade level test. It is very important to have a before and after measure of progress. You also need to make sure you have all the material you need to teach the lesson. It is best to make a checklist. You need either workbooks or folders for each student and enough copies of the games for the number of students in the class. I tell all my students to bring their own pencils, but I have some available for students who forget or who break theirs. I also bring extra blank paper and an extra copy or two of the workbook or folder material for the volunteers to look over. For the phonics concentration game, you will only be using the cards for the first 13 blend phonics units, so you want to keep these cards separated. I use small clips or Ziploc bags to separate out later cards from the cards for the current lesson. Here is an overview of the things that will be covered during the first lesson. For the first exercise, you will be working with the students, Blend Phonics Unit 2. Make sure the volunteers understand how to help the students. Older students should use the nonsense word Blend Phonics documents. For younger students, have them try the nonsense words first and then switch to regular Blend Phonics if the nonsense words are too tough. Have the students use their one-page vowel and consonant charts to help them sound out the words. The volunteers should focus on helping the students sound out the words from left to right, helping them look up sounds they don't know on the chart. Eventually, the students will learn to look up the sounds themselves. Do a few words with each student, rotating through the students until the time is up. Then, there will be a bit more teaching, then the syllable division exercise number 1. For this exercise, have the students divide words and check their division before sounding out the words with the students. Students who have trouble dividing up the words should mark the vowels with X's and then divide between the consonants. Students who have trouble sounding out the words, even after they're divided, should first tackle the first syllable, then the second syllable, then put them together to sound out the whole word. Again, do a word or two with each student, then move on to another student. However, make sure they do not start any work on syllable division exercise 2 at this time. The students who are not being directly worked with should continue to divide words on their own. After this, there will be some more instruction and then some more blend phonics work. Continue work with the students on the next 3 blend phonics exercises, just like the first. Remember, your primary goal is to get the students able to use the chart and able to sound out words from left to right without guessing. The final exercise for Lesson 1 is Syllable Division Exercise number 2. Some students may have trouble saying which of the 3 consonants in the middle are blends. Help them by writing a small tie, kind of shaped like a smile and a smiley face, between the 2 consonants that are blends. Then have them draw between the blends and a single consonant. Next up are the games. During the game time, have a few volunteers work with students and do the nonsense word fluency timings. Time at least the first 25-word exercise and do both exercises for the lesson with each student if there is time. The first game is the phonics concentration game, covered in the last video, but make sure your classroom is properly set up for the game and that you have enough game sets and paper to keep score. You can have the students stretch a bit while setting up the game if you do not have a full break at this time. Play the relay letter race for the last 10 minutes of class. You can do a few minutes less of this last game if you are behind schedule. Set up the room and play the relay race letter game where you make words from tubs of letters and groups. After the first class, I like to set aside a few minutes to talk after the students leave to talk with my volunteers and see if they have any questions or suggestions. They often have good ideas about particular students or classroom setup that will make the class go smoother. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comment, and I'll include answers in How to Teach number 10.